Hey man, how you doing?
Good.
Did
You say-
you have a good weekend? I just rested and it was the best.
I got police marked.
I know.
What happened?
You didn't have.
Every time we have one of these meetings, he shows up.
Would you ban me from coming, please?
You think it'd do any good?
No.
Jackson gonna be here tonight.
Harry already approved.
Hey, you know what they say in the Mountain Brothers, right? 3 miles up, 3 miles back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you need this?
Oh, no. Good, how are you doing?
Yeah, the thing is, people were at meetings pushing us. Glad to see it.
Now, get that key, it's in the red dot. Don't get on there. It's all right. I'll get grandson, go get it.
Yeah. He ain't ready to check my place yet. Yeah, I'm ready to have it all cleaned up, cleaned out yet, so once. Maybe they can get some headway now. I hope so.
Oh.
Stepdaughter ain't found her key yet, she lives in. Said the stepdaughter hasn't found her extra key yet, she lives in the damn place. So don't worry about your key in your truck.
She hadn't found it yet.
I know it's somewhere. That's the nature of things.
It's very important that you find them, you keep up with these things.
Yeah.
How you be, bro?
What, morning?
Hang on. Good, good.
You know, I don't know. Kind of a strange morning. Just trying to keep.
We'll let you know it's on the place.
Oh, did you go back?
You're next one.
Or bad, too bad.
You did?
Or
It's not here.
they have an adult bathroom.
You don't know what video now. You went to do that.
Pretty fun, yeah.
Yeah. Congratulations. Yeah.
That's a couple numbers. Well, we're already ready. That's not the third.
I see you a pile there. There's one more in this.
Leave my file paper alone. I had all those rains.
I know.
Oh, I didn't. Somebody else.
Okay, I'm gonna mark it with this.
Okay.
For this spot.
Oh, it is.
Starting to call you yesterday.
I have insurance. Okay.
Two. Tried to load about 750 count bull calf by myself, taking with a sale. I finally got it. You should have gone. I had some people up, kids up the road came and helped. I'm getting too old to do that kind of stuff. It's 10 a.m. I move that we call the special meeting of the Navarro County Commissioners Court, Monday, the 24th, 2024, 10 a.m. to order. Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Moore, seconded by Commissioner Brewer. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And I'll ask everyone now to stand for opening prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Let us pray. Father, thank you for this day and the many blessings that you give to us each and every day. We ask for your wisdom and guidance today as we deal with the matters of the county and how it affects our citizens. We ask you to forgive us for the many ways that we may have failed you. It's in Christ's name I pray. Amen. Please join me for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated.
We have one public comment
Okay,
for Don Allen.
all right.
Gentlemen, I'm here to address, substandard subdivisions. I know it looks good on paper, providing places for people to live, because we're needing more rain. But when we okay one of these, what we're actually seeing, shacks with tarps, unlivable camp trailers, and open pit sewers. And this is not just an Navarro County problem, this is a Texas problem. It's getting worse by the day. All I'm asking is that y'all give, I guess, closer consideration to some of these subdivisions that we're going in. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Someone else? All right, we'll move on now to our consent agenda. Items 5 through 10 that we can approve as a whole unless we need to, pull one or more of them off and talk about them individually. Any of them we need to talk about? If not, I'd ask for a motion to approve it as a whole.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as a whole.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Perry, seconded by Commissioner Moore. All in favor, please say aye. Motion carries. Number 11 is consideration of burn ban. Burn ban is still off right now, but I have noticed, I was going back home the other day that on Highway 31, there's a little chunk of land that caught fire either by mowers, the tractor mowers, you know, were mowing the highway. And in that or a cigarette or something might have got thrown out. It burned several acres. I think one of the volunteer fire departments went and put it out, which was great. So it wasn't a total loss of the property, but anyway, we need to be careful, extremely careful because of the conditions. It's drying out. You know, I don't know about y'all, but I've got cracks in the blackland on my place. And
It don't take long.
it does not take long. We could use some rain, really could.
Yeah, they
So,
finally moved the water over the road signs and now it's burning up.
no joke. So,
I have not had any requests from any of our volunteer fire departments to enact the burn ban, so.
okay, so no action. gentlemen.
No action.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Number 12 is Texas Historic Commission honors the Navarro County Historical Commission with a Distinguished Service Award for 2023. There you are.
Good morning.
Come on up to the podium if you will, please.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Dr. Mary Jane McReynolds. I'm the Chair of the Navarro County Historical Commission. And we've had a busy year. In 2023, we were acknowledged, awarded one of the 2023 Distinguished Service Awards from the state's preservation agency, the Texas Historical Commission. And it's given each year an acknowledgement of efforts and accomplishments that demonstrate our well-rounded history and preservation projects that we take on each year to enrich the heritage of our county. We held our regularly scheduled meetings. We engaged in numerous preservation activities and collaborations with history-focused organizations around the county and actually in our entire region. And this just further strengthens our ability to preserve our historic resources. I have a summary report that I'll pass out to you, but just to highlight a couple of them. We collaborated for the very first time with the Limestone and Freestone County Historical Commissions, along with the TIG Heritage Society, the Byrai Railroad Museum in TIG, and the Tawakana Heritage Society to plan and put on a Tri-County Railroad Symposium to focus on railroad history in our region. As most people know, many of our communities wouldn't be here if it wasn't for where the railroad came in the late 1800s. And so we had speakers, we had workshops, we had children's activities. It was a full day last fall to celebrate our rich railroad history. And we're hoping, due to the interest in railroad history, not just in Navarro County, but in the surrounding counties, that we could do this on a, I won't say a regular basis, but we will try to repeat this. For example, the Ellis County Historical Commission has interest in this because they have a railroad museum up in Ennis, of course. Another project that I'd like to spotlight is we've started work with the community of Goodloe to honor Park High School, which was also known as the Navarro County Training School. This was a school that was built back in 1924, 1925, partially using funds from the Rosenwald Fund. Julius Rosenwald was the CEO of Sears Roebuck and Company, and he partnered with Booker T. Washington to help build schools in the South for African-American children. Navarro County had 4 of these schools, and the one structure out at Goodloe, and it at one time had maybe about 6 or 7 structures. There's one structure out at Goodloe that still remains that was built in 1924-25. So we researched and applied for a historical marker. And now we're working with the members of that community to try to preserve that building. Because it is the only structure we have of that era and that demonstrates that history in our county. We also did a lot of work meeting with individuals and cemetery associations to try to help preserve the cemeteries in our county. And you'll see on the summary that I'm going to give you, we really focus on trying to reach out to cemeteries, historic cemeteries throughout the county. So you'll see cemeteries on our list. That's the Friendship Baptist Church out in the Eureka area, Pleasant Hall out in the Streetman Winkler area, Ingram out at Rural Shade, Grange Hall out at the Berry area. We're really trying to make sure we're looking at the history of our entire county. And so that's just a few of the highlights, and I will give you this printed summary. But we wouldn't be able to do this work without your support, and so we want to say thank you for that. And I want to say thank you to the rest of the commission appointees who were here today, and who that will be able to accept the Distinguished Service Award. So here today we have Preston Bonner. And do you want to stand up? Because we're going to get up and go to the front here in a minute. We have Danny Combs, we have Stephen Ferris, and we have Cheryl Hicks. Have I left anybody else out from the historical commissions who's here today?
Cool. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. Should have asked you, do you actually have the certificate? Did Kim give it to you?
Yeah, there it is.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Thank you, ma'am.
And can we line up behind you guys and get a picture with all of you in it
Yeah, we'll stand
Of-
also.
of our group, please?
Yeah, come on back here.
You mind?
I'll just, let's see.
I'll move over here. Folks.
I'll get somebody behind me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can stand by me. Attention there.
I want to be the picture of Eddie because it'll make me look better.
Okay. I get here.
All right.
This will work. Yes, ma'am. One of this.
Oh,
yeah,
you want
let's
to
take hold of that.
Yeah.
There we go.
Here, just kind of lick that.
That would be good.
That'll work. All right.
Everybody got it?
All right. Good deal.
Thank you so much.
Good job. Thank you all so much.
Thank y'all.
Later, Dean.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you again for all of what y'all do. I think keeping history alive is very important, I think, to our county and
Absolutely.
actually to, all of us, or should be. Okay, so that was just a presentation. We'll move on to number 13, which is consideration to accept the Emergency Service District 1 financial statement for fiscal year 2023 as required by section 775.082 of the Health and Safety Code.
Yes, sir. Judge, I believe this is just gonna be a housekeeping item, and I'll make a motion of approving to accept the Emergency Service District financial statement for the fiscal year 2023 as required in section 775.082 of the Health and Safety Code. Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Perry, seconded by Commissioner Moore. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 14 is consideration of approving maintenance agreement with Vistacom for the NCSO. Got some NCSO people here, right? Anybody want to stand up and say something about that?
It's a standard agreement that we've had. They just want to make sure that the verbiage is all in the same boat.
Okay.
What was on it.
Okay. So y'all are all in agreement? All right, good deal. Need a motion, please.
I'll make a motion, we approve the maintenance agreement with Vistacom for the Navarro County Sheriff's Office.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Brewer, seconded by Commissioner Moore. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 15 is consideration of declaring a metal portable building as salvage for Navarro County Sheriff.
We have a building at our range that is, I can't even tell you how old it is. At some point in time, probably speculation is 20 years ago, it was donated by, I think they said a power company or something. It's really not a traditional storage building. It's just a little old metal building that has basically two small offices in it. And it's really been an eyesore for a long point in time, and it's not being utilized for anything, and so we're requesting at this point in time to take that thing off the premises and basically scrap or salvage that thing, so.
Okay. All right, need a motion, gentlemen.
I move that we declare a metal portable building as salvage for Navarro County Sheriff. Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Moore, seconded by Commissioner Perry. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 16 is consideration of withholding reimbursement of attorney fees for employee originally approved in January 8th, 24, until such time as all legal requirements are met for such payment. Any discussion on this?
Nope.
Okay, need a motion, please.
Make a motion, we withhold reimbursement of attorney's fees for employee originally approved on January 8th, 2024, until such time as all legal requirements are met for such payment to be made.
Second.
Thank you. Motion made by Commissioner Brewer, seconded by Commissioner Perry. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 17 is consideration of healthcare coverage plan options for PY 2025.
Good morning. 17, we're going to talk about, it's time to do our renewal for our healthcare insurance. TAC has presented us with the regular renewal rates. They've also presented us with a pilot program that they have Jonathan Hollander with TAC, he's here, and Tasha Brent to answer any questions about this program. What it is for the dependent child tiers. They are offering to match dollar for dollar what the an additional contribution that the county will make towards the premiums for those employees. This page here shows on the top the current funding, the regular renewal would be. We just went renewed like we always do every year. Then they've given us 3 different options at a 10%, 12.5%, and a 15% contribution. So that is showing what the county's contribution would be towards those tiers. At this time, this pilot program only applies to those tiers that have child dependents. And then it shows what the employee cost would be as well. This spreadsheet has the same information, plus it's showing what the monthly and annual cost to the county would be for each of those options. And then on the pilot program options, we have out there that what the employee savings would be. We did pull together a review committee and that reviewed that. For the pilot program, the county could contribute anywhere from 5% up to 15%. The committee chose to present the 10, 12.5, and 15% to the board.
So, yeah, I'd like to add, we are really excited about this pilot program. That's the one thing that we've heard consistently, is that it's hard for folks to be able to cover their kids on their insurance. It's not a Navarro County issue, it's, around the state. And we have had, I'm lucky to have been able to launch this pilot in Hopkins County previously. So they've been on this for longer than a year at this point. So that's Sulphur Springs, kind of in the same area y'all are, in that it's close to the Metroplex. Care is expensive to get, and you're competing against the Metroplex and other areas to keep your employees. So we understand the need behind that. It's been very successful, rolled out in Hopkins County. They opted to contribute the full 15%. And anecdotally, I know it's done well. One of the things I'm more prouder of in my capacity in this role is that I did have sheriff deputies tell me that they were able to cover their children on their insurance, and they hadn't been able to do that before. So we're really excited to bring it out. Julie, the folks in the county, the last couple of years when I've come out for open enrollment, that's the one thing I hear, is that it's too expensive to cover the families. So that's the idea, is we know that with adding children to the plan, it's going to spread the risk out. If you're younger, you're healthier. It's just how the numbers kind of work with that. So Hopkins County has continued to bring their loss ratio down, which means they're paying in more in premiums that they're getting out in claims, which is great. They've seen flat renewals. They've been able to make a lot of changes, enhancements to their benefits and things like that. So hopefully that's what we see going down the road here, because y'all have great involvement with the Healthy County program, along with contributing to the pilot program. We think it'd be a win-win for sure.
And also, one of the talking points we had in the committee was that if the child-dependent health care premiums were made more affordable, that could positively affect recruitment, especially in the sheriff's office.
And I was hoping to have the numbers with me today, but I don't. But I can tell you our board voted on Friday to approve a surplus distribution, which we didn't have in the last plan year. So you will be getting a check based on the amount we calculated for claims that we collect in premiums versus what we actually paid. So that's going to be distributed out to the counties based on their claim activity. And so y'all came in good for the last 12 months. So I don't know exactly how much it's going to be. I'll share that with Julie as soon as I have an amount on that, but you will be getting some money back from us on that.
Cool. Discussion, questions?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
if it's possible, in reviewing this data sheet, I see there are, and I don't know if the numbers are accurate, but there's like 296 employees on this. And it gets down here to the employee and family, and there's only one. Well, I know who that is. That's me. I'm a stakeholder. So my question is, in reviewing this, how can these updated numbers, how can it cost, and I'm about to opt out of the family deal simply not because I want to, it's because of the age of my children. But now I see that this new updated version, now that I'm about to transition to employee and spouse, it's going to cost more money for me to pay to have just my wife on it than it is to have my entire family. In what world can that be accurate? That's
So
my question.
yes, I'm happy to speak to that. Traditionally, when we do look at the numbers and where costs come from, when there is an employee plus spouse tier, most folks who include their spouse on their plan, it's typically because they do need the coverage and they're not getting it from somewhere else. So they may not have it at work, that type of thing. So that is traditionally the more expensive dependent to add to the plan. Children are less expensive just because they're younger, healthier, and there's typically going to be more of them added than spouses when it's affordable for everyone. But because there are so few spouses on the plan, they do need their insurance, they're using their insurance. So the claim payout on that is a lot more than any other dependent class.
So two things to rebuttal to that. Employee and family, to me, for the 25 years I've been using it is, or 35 years, is my spouse and my children. Employee and family means my spouse and my children. So if you're taking my children off and it's only going to be my wife, obviously that tells you that it's going to cost less money to the insurance company or whatever, because my children will no longer be on it. So I don't understand what you just said, because in the family plan, my wife is on it.
Right. So what I'm talking about traditionally, I mean, it's just the numbers of what we see and what we see. So your situation, you might be saving the plan of the county money with your kids not being on it. You know, I'm not sure what health conditions your family has. We definitely don't want to get into any of that. But traditionally across the board, the folks who are covering their spouse, it's because they need the insurance. Kids traditionally, it's a routine physical, sports physical, checkup, sick visits. You don't see the type of ongoing care that most adults need. So for example, you know, I'm asthmatic, I've got my own chronic conditions that I manage, medication, things like that. As an adult, I'm just more expensive. Yes, in your situation, your kids, you know, going off the plan, they're not going for their visits. Your wife might be super healthy. I hope that she is, and she's not going to cost the plan much. But just when we're looking at the law of numbers and the averages, we do without question see that spouses, that employee spouse tier typically will cost us more than the employee plus family, because we'll be collecting the additional premiums in a family for children that are healthier and we're not spending on claims the same that we would for a spouse and adult.
Maybe I'm not saying this in a fashion that you understand, but I want to make sure you decision makers understand. Looking at this right here, today, I have a family plan, and it allows for my spouse and my children or child to be covered at a specific rate. Moving forward with this proposition, I would, I'm assuming, have to opt out of the family plan and go to employee and spouse, which costs more money than employee and family. Anyone can see that can read what that's saying. So my question for you is, would not it be better option for me to remain in the family plan and save myself money, even though I don't have family? I only have a spouse being insured. That's what it says to me. So is that an option to say, I don't want to pay you additional money just to insure my wife when I can insure my whole family for a lesser rate? If you don't have any other option, then leave me in a family plan and at least I'll save money. But my secondary question to that is, do you have the numbers from last year's rate? What employee and spouse were and employee and family?
I don't have the specific claim numbers. No, I'm happy to provide that.
Yeah, you might want to look at that because there's a tremendous difference in the employee and spouse rate that was being paid by the employees last year and to what you're being asked this year.
So I just want to add one quick thing. And you're absolutely correct. In your situation, selecting the
It's
family.
not just me, there are
No.
other employees in the county
And I
that
understand,
potentially could be opting into employee and spouse.
right,
I'm just speaking for, I am speaking for myself, make no mistake,
absolutely.
but I'm speaking for the other employees of the county and potential employees that could be coming on board as well.
Right, so I'd just like to add that, again, what we're talking about here, it's not any particular family or any particular couple. Traditionally, the people that we have in that tier, employee plus spouse, are older, their kids have aged out of the plan. And with that, just comes the health risk, more claims. And I'm not talking about anyone in particular, but the numbers do show that that tier is typically older. It's folks whose spouses maybe aren't working and can't have insurance through their employer. All of those things contribute to being a more expensive tier.
And speaking for myself and for other county employees and the potential here, when we hire an employee, we don't hire them as an employee with anticipation they're gonna stay a year. We want them to be a career employee, which means 20 years, 25, that's the best option for us. So surely we wouldn't entertain punishing them because they're getting older and they may require more medical claims and hire somebody that's 21 years of age.
No, that's
Not what I'm hearing is, well, as an insurance provider, the older you get, we're gonna have to pay more claims, so we're going to charge you more for that. And I apologize for kind of taking this over, but I'm a little bit passionate about this. Business is business. And I want to make sure that we're business.
And I would like to add, talking about Hawkins County, while the dependent pilot that we're offering, we're not matching that tier. Hopkins County did vote to increase their contribution 15%. So employees did save money in that because the county still saw the value that you see that, if you do increase that contribution, it's just in our pilot program, we're not matching it on our end because there's not, that analytical or, the numbers to support that. The pilot is specifically just for children because that was what we found is that adding more children to the plan make costs less for everybody. So I know that was something that Julie and the committee had talked about proposing that they did increase, the court possibly increase contributions on that tier as well, which would ultimately save money. So that might be a good middle of the road solution, but I know that's not something I'm just coming up with on the fly. Julie and her
I
team
just
are-
want to make sure that you are proposing that. The committee might have met whoever's on that committee, but you're proposing to the county today what these three options are, and I don't hear that being proposed to the.
Right. Well, it was,
To the court, and we're gonna we're gonna look at that and see that you're being penalized now just because you're only insuring a spouse, and that's gonna cost more than your family. So my question is to you, that means I don't have to just insure my spouse, I can just leave it as family and it'll insure my spouse, even though I don't have any other family members on it? Because by your numbers here, depending on what level they choose, that's $200, over $200 a month to leave my spouse on the family plan instead of opting to employee and spouse. It would cost me $200 a month to get less coverage because my family's they're timing out.
For example, on the 10% pilot program, Elmer, it would be, for employee spouse, it would be $609.50 a pay period,
Mhm.
whereas the employee family is $651.65
Mhm.
a pay period. So it's still cheaper on the spouse there, but if we did the 12.5%, it would be the 609 and the family would be the 576. So
Okay.
yes,
I agree.
so it's still gonna be $100 difference, even if you did the 15%, it would be 500 for the family and 609.50 for the spouse.
That may be correct. Again, I
yes.
go back to My
But,
numbers, since I didn't have
Yes.
it, employee and spouse in the last calendar year.
Yes.
But those should be readily available. I
But-
think the difference was about $600 a month between employee and spouse and employee and family.
yes, it was employee and spouse with the current rate that we have right now is $582.70 a pay period. And employee spouse is employee family is $911.24.
Yeah,
A pay
about,
period,
about $600 to $700 a
Yes.
month difference
yes.
to have
So
your
that's-
family compared to just having your
Right,
spouse.
so that's why TAC is only offering the pilot program with just those because of the dependent children. But what Jonathan is saying is that there is an option that we can do this for our spouses. We can, but it's not gonna be part of this program. It's something that as a whole, the court can decide how much percentage, if we want to say, pay a portion of the spouse's premium, like the others.
Well, and I
It's
just
an
wanna-
option for us, but not,
And I just want to make sure that's being put out there. Number one, is to identify there is, I would say, an issue there. And number two, I didn't hear your answer. I can leave my spouse as family.
No, if you don't have children on the plan, it would just be employee spouse. It's not a matter of what you're selecting, it's what you have on your plan, what's eligible for coverage. So again, children are covered through the age 26. So if you do have an older child, you could stay on family longer. But if it's just you and your spouse that are eligible for coverage, it would be the employer plus spouse tier.
So what about that?
Yeah.
Can I leave my child on it then?
Yes, if they're under 26, if they meet the qualifications to be covered dependent, then yes, you could.
That's the problem. At some point in time, he'll be over 26. And
It would revert to the employee plus spouse.
it's too, I mean, you can say it any way you want to say it, but one of those options I just looked at is you're losing coverage because you can't put your children on there. And it's gonna cost you $200 more, put just your spouse on there that she would already be on the family plan. I understand what you're saying, but that don't make no sense. That has to be addressed.
I think,
I mean, come on.
I think the main thing
If you
is.
don't have any, and I'm sorry, not to interrupt you, but if the county's paying your insurance and you don't have a spouse on it, and you don't have a family on it, you don't have a dog in the fight, and it may not mean anything to you, but I'm saying for me, it does. And I understand that potentially your insurance provider recognize the older you get, the potential for a claim is more. But you also got to look at that as, I want tenured employees. I want people to come here and stay here. So,
so with that, the committee, we did discuss, offering an extra contribution to the employee spouse plan. However, we chose not to present it today because we were gonna wait and see what option they chose to go with. If they chose to go with just our regular renewal, it wouldn't have been any sense in even proposing it to them. So we were gonna see what they go with today, and then we're gonna present the different percentage options to add an additional contribution to the employee spouse tier.
communication is key. Just and I appreciate y'all allowing me to take the time to explain something that I'm passionate about, bring it to your attention. Is by the auditor's own terminology, there's somewhere between $700 and $800 a month difference in having employee and spouse currently and having employee and family. I know it because I'm the one guy that's paying. Now you're proposing to offset that to now going to a spouse that's going to be $200 more potentially on whatever plan you pick than what it is to insure your entire family. That has got to be addressed. That's
Well, and just to.
that doesn't make common sense.
To go back to it, the spouses are the most expensive dependent. I understand your situation. I understand what you're saying.
Spouse is on the family plan.
But there are children on the family.
Saying, but the spouse is on the
Right,
family.
but there are
plan.
also children on the
Doesn't change
family
it.
plan that balance out, that offset that risk.
I think what he's alluding to is if you have 4 vehicles on a policy
Hello,
and you take 2 of them off, the premium should drop.
thank you.
in simple layman's terms.
And the chances for accidents will diminish for the insurance.
Well, I mean, that's the deal in a nutshell.
Analogy, and I appreciate you seeing it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, that's not something that we can control. That number is more expensive. We're not talking cars, we're talking, humans,
Yeah.
where healthcare is significantly more than if you were, to get your brakes fixed on an older car. It's not apples to apples. So I feel like we can maybe agree to disagree on this, but that tier is more expensive and ultimately that's why it's,
Would you agree?
I'm sorry.
Would you agree that it should cost you more money to simply put your spouse on it at whatever age than it would be for you to put your spouse and 6, 8 kids?
So I can tell you my spouse has diabetes, has an autoimmune deficiency disorder, and my kid is healthy 13-year-old boy. So no, it would be less expensive for TAP to cover my insurance if my wife was not on the plan. Unfortunately, she needs to be on the plan and it's going to cost more. So I have personal experience in this as well.
I don't think you understood the question asked. Do you agree, or do you believe that it should cost more money to put simply a spouse, not your spouse, a spouse, on an insurance plan than what it costs to put your spouse and however many children you have in the household?
Yes, because I've seen the data. I've seen the spouse plans. It's not anecdotal. We're just talking numbers. So I feel like we can agree to disagree.
When I was in the school business, when I was a school administrator 10, 15 years ago, we ran across this same thing, and it's basically the insurance companies, they set their rates, they set what they're gonna charge, and basically that's the bid that we get. And we had the same argument with them. It doesn't make any sense, but that's the way insurance works. They're gonna set their own rates, and they're gonna make bids to organizations like us or to the teacher retirement system with their insurance company. They set those rates. Basically, insurance companies, they run the show. It doesn't make any sense, but they do.
They do if you let them. So my secondary question is, did we entertain any other vendors for insurance, for dependent insurance or for insurance for the county other than TAC by this committee? Or did we only allow one person to?
That's a good question. I'm seeing this the first time today too.
So we go back to, I'm not saying this is not a good option. I don't want this young man over here to think that or anybody in this room, or anybody listening to think that I'm saying this is the wrong thing, whatever. I'm not. Because the question you would have really asked me, why are you the only one paying? Because it's a good insurance plan.
We could have cheaper rates, but we have to increase our deductible and increase our out-of-pocket expense and our co-pays and our prescription benefits, but we chose not to. We chose to keep it where they're at right now. It's $750 for deductible, and our out-of-pocket still the same. Our co-pays are still the same. Everything is still the same. Yes, it is an increase, but we're still going to try to do an option for the spouses. Okay, we are going to try, but we understand that TAC cannot offer that because they're not dependent, and I get that.
I just want somebody to understand, to in this room, to confirm what I'm saying.
Yes, we do. We
If
did.
you have 6 kids and a spouse on a family plan, and the rate is here, and you're not gonna be on it, you just wanna insure your spouse, and the rate is more expensive than your whole family, something's wrong with that.
Doesn't make any sense.
As long as somebody confirms that they see what I'm saying.
We saw what you're saying.
And
We argued it.
I understand.
Yeah, we all
Yeah,
argued it.
that's
In a lot of situations, that
We
might be.
understood.
That's the
And
way
so
insurance
if you don't have any other option, the county can't assist with that, and I'm not just speaking for me, I'm speaking for any potential employee in the county. Then why don't you let me stay in the family plan? Because at least there you won't save money. That's all I'm saying. No, say, thanks all for allowing
Yeah.
me to see.
Yeah,
No?
Okay. Just to like put it out there, I know you guys, like David said, I'm just looking at this for the first time.
yeah.
It gets a little confusing. It was looked at several times. I think the main thing is there is a whole tier that's missing because this plan is based on children. It's not based on your spouse. That is missing from this plan. It is thrown in there for a benefit because we do have that, and I'm agreeing with the sheriff. There's gonna be more of those that are aging up and their children are aging out. So that we do need to look at that. What I say is just please consider that bracket, as Terry is saying, that we don't forget that bracket, because it is out there by itself. And then I know one of the things that even I brought up that I would like to see, I think we're too far in the game now, but later, I would like to look beyond just TAC. I would like to see what other things are out there, just to make sure that we are being competitive, because we're trying to be very responsible. But you do have to look at the different brackets. That's why we did the 10, 12 and a half, and 15. I would absolutely love if we could do the 15, because the most embarrassing thing to do is sit and interview somebody and say, I'm gonna bring you in at this, but do you have a wife and children? Ooh, well, half of your paycheck is going to go just to healthcare. And it completely takes away the benefit of people coming in. And I don't think it's just a tax thing. I think it's insurance in particular. The costs are right, I get it, but I still think that you need to go a little further out and you're looking earlier on, just to make sure we're going into the right thing. So just don't forget that little line. That's not part of the team.
The problem is gonna be, and just like when I was in the school business, we went with the teacher retirement system, they provided insurance. That group is so large that throughout the whole state, that it brings the cost down, you know, for your individual group. If we start going out, Terry may support me or not on this, or agree with me or not. When we start looking at finding an outside vendor just to do insurance for our county employees, that's such a smaller group. The rates are gonna be even larger than what this is. Going with TAC, they do the whole
Yeah, but
state.
it
they
is
do a
nice
lot
when
of
you
things.
have that comparison to show.
Yes, yes, and
That's
that's
what I'm talking about.
what I'm saying, we need to go out there and do that, look at the comparisons and then see what the costs are.
Well, I'd just like to add, we absolutely need to be competitive in a bid. If you would like to do that, you know, I can have our team prepare on our side to submit a proposal.
If
I'm
people
sure.
can see the numbers, that.
Sure.
Yeah.
makes them-
And
Yeah.
there's always value in us competing. There's absolutely value in that. I do want to add, if the dependent pilot wasn't here, you know, the renewal itself would have been, I think, 4.5% increase. What we're seeing in the market in
Yeah.
other plans, small groups, 8 to 12% increases. So there is value in that. I appreciate Commissioner for sharing
Sure.
that, because we do have the numbers there. But if the county chooses to go out to bid, we'd be happy.
It's kind of like fuel prices, you got to pay us.
Again, my deal, I've been with tax,
Oh, yeah.
the insurance deal for a long, long time. And I'm not chumping rocks at those folks. It's a good,
Sure.
and I'm sure not chumping at the county.
Yeah, but we used to do our self-insurance where we had to pay everybody's premiums.
But
We
if you,
paid their bills. I remember doing the checks though.
if you see it,
Oh.
in other words, I think, you know, what's being proposed there is if you bought a new car today, you may not just go to one insurance company and say, what do you charge? You comparison shop. Doesn't mean that's a better option, because it sure may not be
Right.
because of deductibles and what they pay or whatever, but if people have an opportunity to see it, then they understand it.
But at least
That's a big game in town.
you satisfied the question in your mind, could it be done cheaper? I agree. So back this, what are y'all recommending? What did the committee recommend?
We would like to see the 15%. But, I mean, it just, that's why, when they're, you know, so that y'all can see what it costs the county for that additional contribution monthly and annually.
Have you run any figures on that, Terry, yet
Yes.
to see?
Everything that she's produced right here for you is an option. It's not anything. I mean, you're still looking at if you did the 15%, you're looking at an additional 93,000 a year. Is what we do. So you're gonna be looking at 4 million for the year in health insurance costs. Compared to 3,000,007 if we didn't do it. So, like I said, that's just $100,000 more roughly a year.
What do y'all think?
Out of what we've got to choose from here, the 15% is kind of what I would look at.
And basically what it is that the employee child, the premium for the employee child would be 0 to the employee. Okay? The employee children, if you look at it, it would be a benefit. It'd be $140.53 per pay period for an employee with children. Okay, and then for employee family would be only a $500 per pay period. Only per pay period, yeah. But then the next option would be, once we decide which tier that y'all would like to go with, if y'all even want to go with it at all, because the normal rates for employees, the renewal rates right now without the pilot program, the employee child, the employee would have to pay $199 per pay period for that. Employee children, they would have to pay $438.37 per pay period to keep their children on. Employee family would be $953 per pay period for family. So if we can help the employees out by paying part of these premiums, then we can go back, once y'all decide which percentage, then we can sit down and look at what it would cost to help out employee spouse at that percentage. And that will be keeping your,
For looking at that.
for the employee spouse, once y'all decide, but we can't make that decision until we know which percentage y'all want to, for us to go forward with, if you even want to do this pilot program. Plus, this is also a good recruiting tool.
Yes.
And you're still keeping, yeah, you're still keeping your deductible at the same rate, $750. Which is, to me, a steal compared to other insurance companies. And you're keeping your out-of-pocket down. I mean, we could increase all of that and it would drop our rates even lower, but then that's gonna go right back on the employees. In the long run, if you think about it. We're just trying to give our employees an option this year to help. I mean, everything else is going up, so we might as well do something.
Well, I'd be like Commissioner Perry, go 15%.
And I know Jason gave, I know he's not here, but he did give you what his wishes are, so y'all are all aware of what he was on that committee, so.
If we decide on 15, will we know what the contribution rate would be today if we're just an employee and spouse?
We will after this after, yeah. Julie can probably go back in there and figure something out.
Okay.
I'm in agreement with that. As long as we come back in our budget workshops, looking at
Yes,
helping
yes.
out,
Because this does not. go
especially
into-
employee and spouse.
Yes, this will not go into effect until October 1. These are our renewal rates. So yes, whatever we decide, we can decide on even in budget too. But this has to be decided today. That's the only thing.
Well, I'll make the motion that we go with the 15%. However, we need to word that. Yeah, I'll make a motion, we go with the 15% of dependent rate funding increase for the insurance for the coming year.
We have a second.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Brewer, seconded by Commissioner Perry regarding the 15% selection. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, sir.
Yeah, appreciate it. It goes with us coming back during budget workshops.
Yeah.
Looking at if we can do any supplemental help.
All right. Go item 18 is consideration of approving 100% employer paid premium for retiree healthcare coverage beginning with year 2025 to be adopted in the Navarro County Personnel Policy Manual. Could you add some more to that? Just
Again, this is what we discussed in our committee. I don't know if do I need to tell who was in the committee. You can if you want to. It was myself, Terry, Natalie, Jane, Melanie, and Jason Grant. So, those were the committee members. And we discussed, offering, our retirees, their premium, their insurance premium, if they chose to continue the insurance, be paid at 100% by the county. Currently, when they retire, they're paying the full premium, or if only if it's just them, or if they had their spouse on it and they continue to keep their spouse and then paying that employee spouse rate as well. So, the criteria that we set, are proposing that for it to be paid at 100% is for employees, if they have 20+ unbroken years of service with the county and they're at least 62 years of age. The county will pay 100% of their premium until age 65. For elected officials, that they have 12+ years of service, unbroken service of either being an employee and or an elected official. And then and at least 60 years of age. Then the county will pay until they're age 65. If they do have a spouse enrolled at the time of their retirement, they can continue that coverage at the current rate, whatever the current rate is at that time. Then if at any time the retiree acquires coverage elsewhere, then the coverage with the county will terminate. And if this proposal was approved, this will possibly be an incentive for a lot of people to retire a lot earlier than they have planned. We hear that a lot of people hang on as long as they can so that they can get the insurance, the premiums paid for. And then again, if we have an influx of retirements due to the approval of this, that could open up many positions, especially in the sheriff's office. And then that kind of goes back to being able to offer more affordable premiums to retirees.
This, and we're talking about just paying for them retirement until they turn 65 and go on Medicare.
I make a say, I lived in here in the south part of the county and I was a mesquite fireman for 17 years right at it, and I got hurt on duty. Well, I had to leave because I couldn't work. I think y'all are leaving out somebody, firefighter, tractor driver, whoever that has to leave because of injury. And when you work for the city, they need, if they're going to give it to the retirees, they need to give it to these guys that get hurt on duty. I mean, y'all are leaving out. I mean, this guy's losing his job and he's losing his insurance, he's getting a double kick in the butt. It's just a thought. And I fell into that situation. There's one reason I said this. That was exactly what happened to me.
But wouldn't that be, that would consider as well as we should take care of that side and the disability side. We should also put that there, and she has no bearing on the retirement side. Yeah. As even if they're unable to work, they're injured on the job, workers' comp, yes.
So in my situation, I started here in 1994. I left and went to Johnson County for 5 years in the clerk's office and then came right back here. I mean, I realize that's unbroken, but it's still like my retirement, even with Johnson County, what's that situation like? I mean, I immediately left here, went there, immediately left there and came back.
But that's still.
That's unbroken by Navarro County, because you're not here in Navarro County.
It's broken, it's broken. Yeah, it's by Navarro County because you went from county to county.
That's my
And
question.
this actually applies to Navarro County only. Yeah.
Not being something.
No, Texas law does it. State of Texas does it.
We did, there were 3 or 4 counties that we pulled this from, and we took the majority, we went through it, and we picked out the ones that we thought would be more beneficial and cost savings to the county versus some of the others, but there are other counties out there that do this.
It would be a good recruiting type tool. I really do.
Oh, I think it's a good idea. Just like you see, it's good for recruiting, helps out our retirees. I don't have a problem with it.
Need a motion then.
And anything at this time, if there's something that you don't like at the end of this coming fiscal year, we can always opt out of it afterwards, but like I said, this is something moving forward to try to be more productive.
Somebody, motion.
Oh, okay. I'll make a motion of approving 100% employer paid premium for retiree health care's coverage beginning fiscal year 2025 to be adopted in the Navarro County Personnel Policy Manual.
Yeah, see what I was up against.
I'll second that.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
If you do opt into that, someone does retire, and then the next year you opt out, does that affect the person who's already?
In retirees?
Yes.
Yes, if they opt out, then the retirees need to be told ahead of time that they'll have to start picking up the cost of their premiums at that time. If they choose to opt out. Now, here's another thing, and this might apply to you, if I'm correct. You retire, you're 62. Well, never mind. I was fixing to say something. I think I had already, Julie, you had already answered that this morning. So. About the retirees. So like if they've been here 20 years of service, but they retired at 60, okay? They are elected to do health insurance coverage. as a retiree. They paid their own benefit between 60 and 62. Once you hit 62, if we're still paying the 100%, we will pick up your cost at 62 until 65.
And that's the thing, I retired only with, under the pretense that,
Yes,
I mean, that's why a lot of us are still here,
right.
because we can't afford our own, our healthcare coverage. So, but you opt into it, I do take that retirement and go home and spend time with my family. And then the next year.
Well, what we do there is what I'm saying is that any new retirees after the date, if they opt out next year, the ones that are currently already on there that we're paying health insurance, we should be continue paying that.
That's my question.
That any
That's-
new retirees that come off will not be paid. Right. Okay. Do you see what I'm trying to get? Okay.
If you immediately retired in the next calendar year when that's in play, you would be covered until 65.
That is
But
correct.
if they changed it up and somebody was next year, it would be a
Retires.
different ballgame.
It would be that they would be
Yeah.
responsible for their own. Like your grandfather in for once. Yes. Adopted now, but the name changes, next, budget year. And the ones that's already, eligible will be grandfathered in with that.
Okay, so that's my question.
Yes, you will be grandfathered.
All right, motion's been made by Commissioner Perry and seconded by Commissioner Brewer. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 19 is consideration of approving to pay one invoice for KP Graphics without purchase order for the district court.
I move that we approve to pay one invoice for KP Graphics without PO for district court.
Motion made by Commissioner Moore, seconded by Commissioner Perry. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 20 is consideration of approving to pay one invoice for government forms without purchase order for the district clerk.
Make a motion, we pay the one invoice for government forms for the district clerk.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Brewer, seconded by Commissioner Moore. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 21 is consideration of approving to pay one invoice for, I don't know how you say that, wire, watershed services without purchase order for flood control.
And I'll make a motion to approve to pay one invoice for more watershed services without purchase order for flood control.
Second.
More. Never seen that. Motion made by Commissioner Perry, seconded by Commissioner Moore. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 22 is executive session pursuant to the Texas Government Code Section 551.087 to discuss economic development. Need a motion to go into that, please.
It is 11:02. I move that we go into executive session pursuant to the Texas Government Code Section 551.087 to discuss economic development.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Moore, seconded by Commissioner Perry. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We are in that session. Thank y'all for coming.
Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir.
Jimmy. Forgive me for not staying at the.
I called you the other day and some guy named Eddie answered.
He's married, probably.
I said, hey, you can.
Hello. Hello.
Good seeing y'all.
Hello, yes.
Need somebody to.
Yes, Tom.
And we can do it. We can do it. Wait a minute. Wait for it.
I ain't Commissioner Court meeting, I'm already be back, meet you anytime tomorrow. Right before he can already sign. Just come on in.
Brand new.
Did you want her to leave or did you want to do?
In the basement of the courthouse.
Okay, you guys all the ones?
Thank you.
Well, not so much in knife. Yeah,
Mhm.
all right, good deal, Tony, I'll see you then. All right, bye-bye.
No, that's fine.
John, how are you?
Good, good morning.
You still